No one is born with negotiation skills. They're something you develop over time with a lot of practice. But if you don't have a history of attending countless antique swap meets or of raising strong-willed teenagers, you can still learn how to successfully lower the price of your home. Today, we're discussing how to negotiate when buying a home. Hi, I'm Delaney, host of Learn with Zillow. Now, home negotiations won't begin until you submit a formal offer on a home. But before you do that, there are 3 very important things that will get you all warmed up and prepared for when the big negotiation part comes along. First and foremost, and I really mean foremost, find a real estate agent. This is the most helpful thing you can do for your home buying journey. They'll not only negotiate on your behalf, but help you with every step along the way, from setting a budget to signing your deed. So where do you find one? On Zillow, duh. Right now, there's a Zillow partner agent in your area waiting to make your life a whole lot easier. Next, understand the market. You don't have to be an expert. All you have to know is whether you're currently in a buyer's market or a seller's market. And thanks to Zillow's Market Heat Index tool, finding that out is really easy. Check it out in the link below. If you're buying during a buyer's market, then you're in luck, because that means you will have the upper hand in negotiations, which is pretty nice, not bad. But if you're buying during a seller's market, sorry, you don't have the upper hand. It also means there could be a lot more competition out there. But don't drop everything if the market isn't in your favor. Buyers buy in sellers' markets, and sellers sell in buyers' markets all the time, and it all goes perfectly fine. It's just good to know where you stand. Third, do your detective work. Scope out the comps, the lookalikes, the dead ringers. If you want to get your mitts on a 1,700 square foot 2-bedroom, look at recently sold 1,700 square foot 2 bedrooms. They say age is just a number, but when it comes to homes for sale, age could be the tip-off you're looking for. A home sitting on the market for a long time means one thing: negotiation potential. If your dream abode's been collecting dust, try putting in an offer under asking. And say, what about those sellers? What's motivating this sale anyway? Time to ask the tough questions. The questions not everybody will think to ask. If a seller's gotta blow this joint and fast, they may be a little more flexible on the price. I'm acting very discreet, but this is all above board stuff. Customary, even. I just wanted an excuse to wear my trench coat. Now that you've done all your homework, it's time to put in an offer, which, as I said before, kickstarts the whole negotiation part. Fun! When deciding on your initial offer, you gotta be crystal clear on your maximum budget, the highest number you're ready to offer. In some markets, you may start with an offer well under that maximum price to give you some wiggle room in the event the seller counters with a higher price. In other markets, it might make sense to put in an offer close to the high end of your budget in order to make an impression. Your agent will fill your contract with contingencies, which give you room to negotiate should your home turn out to be more costly than you thought. But, a word of warning, a contract full of contingencies could actually hurt your negotiation power in certain markets. Here's how you would leverage a contingency in negotiations. Your offer is accepted. You schedule an inspection. The inspection turns up a broken water heater, which will cost about $2,000 after a new heater and labor. Annoying, but because you had an inspection contingency, you'll have room to ask for a seller credit to cover the repair, lowering your closing costs. For an even more in-depth explainer on contingencies, click the link below and watch me talk about those. Sick of me yet? Okay, so you've put in your offer, maybe a counter offer, and it's been accepted. Nice! But the negotiations aren't over yet. This is a process, people. Another very negotiate-y thing to know about are incentives. Those are extras you can negotiate with the seller to help the two of you meet in the middle. A relationship is all about compromise, and a buyer-seller relationship is a relationship. Whether you want to admit it or not, you two are in a pretty serious thing. Some big-ticket seller incentives include closing costs. What? You can negotiate closing costs? Yeah, it's more common to do so in a buyer's market when your offer was at or above asking, but you have every right to ask the seller to pay your closing costs. It would go a little something like this. Hello, I am selling my home for $420,000. Okay, hello, my initial offer is $400,000. Okay, hello, my counter offer is $410,000. What? Okay, $410,000, but you pay my closing costs. Ahaha, yes. Great negotiating. Deal. Thank you. I learned it from a video. Pretty straightforward. Except, okay, little caveat. The amount of closing costs a seller is allowed to cover depends on the type of home being purchased, the type of loan being used, and the down payment amount. But you can learn more about those details by clicking Another link below. Bet that little clicker finger's getting real tired about now, huh? Remember that water heater scenario I so beautifully painted for you a few minutes ago? That's also an example of a seller incentive. Because think about it. The seller wants to sell this house. They'd lose a lot more money if they turned down your request for credits, leading you to walk away and leading them to have to put their house back on the market. Not a great look. You can also incentivize your deal by being flexible with your closing date. Say you and some other buyer have the exact same offer on this gorgeous home. Same price, same contingencies, same everything. The seller's like, who do I choose? They're exactly alike. That's when you and your agent swoop in and your agent says, if you choose my client, we close this deal tomorrow. Okay, it wouldn't be tomorrow, but if you accommodate the seller's preferences and close sooner, your offer is that much more appealing. Now that I've dished on seller incentives, let's talk about you and your attitude. A must when negotiating a home price is to stay calm, cool, and collected. Although the actual conversations will be between your agent and your seller's agent on your respective behalfs, negotiations can sometimes feel a little intense, but cooler heads will always prevail. So take your time to think before you format a response with your agent. Stick to discussing facts and figures like numbers and comps, and I hate to say it, but play the game, baby. Keep your poker face on. If you appear too eager, that could give the seller some leverage, so be chill. Maybe say things like, cool, groovy daddy-o, I can dig it, while wearing a beret and no shoes. Finally, my last negotiation tip is to emotionally prepare yourself to walk away. Sometimes, even if you did all the things we said to do, negotiations don't go in your favor. Yes, it may sting a little bit or a lot, but walking away can be the smartest negotiating move you've got. Because it can mean walking away from the wrong house and walking towards the right one. And sure, you'll have to do it all over again, but think of how good you'll be at negotiations the second time around, and you didn't have to go to a single swap meet. We hope you feel prepared to forge ahead with your negotiations, but remember, this is the time to really lean on your agents. They're the pros who know how to get you the best possible deal. You can find an agent right now on Zillow. And check out the many other resources we've provided in our description box below to help you on your journey. Good luck out there!